Alright, it is recording. This video has been planned for a long time, although I never really wrote like a script for it, and there is a lot of history behind Latvia. Also, Latvia is in this channel's name. It's not my real name, but it's in the channel name. This was coming for a while, but I got the script ready, and it's about time, guys. Anyways, without further ado, let's begin. Anyways, the history of Latvia begins in 9000 BC, as glaciers in the Baltic region and Baltic Sea melt and give way for the region of Latvia and the rest of the Baltic to form. Anyways, after this, shortly after this, people then start to arrive in the region. After this, tribes exist in the region for thousands of years. Many of the first tribes, though, which had arrived in the region, though, sadly would die, and not really any of them exist today, but they would leave a very faint culture on the region, and would shape the region a bit to what it would be today. After centuries of tribes being in the region, a new people find the region, and they are mostly from the north. They were the Vikings. Sadly, though, I couldn't find the exact date the Vikings had arrived in the Baltic and in Latvia, but it was probably around the 700s, during the Viking Golden Age, or the Viking Age, whatever you call it. The Vikings didn't stay in the Baltic, though, or Latvia, for long. They mostly traveled through for access to lands in southern Europe and other regions of Russia and stuff. They did this because the tribes there sadly didn't have much, and they weren't exactly worth raiding, so they didn't bother to. The Vikings usually went to this region to find other regions to raid, like Constantinople and other rich Russian cities. After the Viking Age ended in 1066, the Baltic had changed a lot since when the Vikings had arrived. The main tribes which inhabited it during these times were the Latgalians, Curonians, Selonians, and Semigallians. A lot of Ians. These tribes also inhabited Latvia, which, if you didn't already know, was in the Baltic. It's part of the Baltic region, if you didn't know, but you guys probably already did. During the 1100s, many Christian states in Europe would have been Christianizing pagan states and other territories. One of those territories was Latvia and the rest of the Baltic, and other regions of Scandinavia and Finland. Many states had noticed the region was mostly of pagan religion. The Pope noticed this in 1196, and he would call a crusade to these regions. This was known as the Northern Crusade. The states that were involved in this crusade were Poland and other various German states, and a few Scandinavian kingdoms. A bit before the Crusades had started, though, a large amount of Germans started showing up in the region. This started the German period of the Baltic in 1185. The Crusades would only increase the German population of the Baltic and Latvia. Alright. In 1201, the city of Riga, aka Latvia's capital, is founded by, how do you say that? Albrecht von Buch. I don't even know how to say that last name. Buchhoven, I think? Albrecht von Buchhoven. I probably butchered that, but he would be the founder of Riga, which is significantly important of the Baltic. Anyways, in 1236, the state of the Teutonic Order, which is one of the German states invading the Baltic during the Northern Crusades, would then have conquered most of the southern Baltic region, which included Latvia. After this, they conquered the Baltic. They would then After they would conquer the Baltic, they would then form the Livonian Order in 1236, which would basically just be another branch of the Teutonic Order. Also, they didn't control all of the Baltic. There were still a few other kingdoms still in the Baltic, which were the Kingdom of Dorpat, the Kingdom of Riga, the Kingdom of, how do you say that, Olsowik? I don't know how to say that, but there were basically a few islands off the coast of Estonia. And the Archbishop wait, how do you say that? Archbishopric of Courland. Yeah, that's how you say it. Anyways, after that, the Northern Crusades in the Baltic would then end in 1290. After pretty much most of all of Latvia and the rest of the Baltic had been Christianized, though this wasn't the end of paganism in the Baltic, as there were still other various pagan communities which would persist through the Crusades. The pagan religion is still believed in many regions of the Baltic, and is still a widely practiced religion, in the Baltic today. Anyways, after the wait, no, did I? Oh wait, no, I didn't just read that. Alright. After the Crusades had ended, many wars in the Baltic would follow between the various kingdoms in the Baltic and the Livonian Order. These would persist throughout the 1300s, 1400s, but things would change in the year 1525, as the Livonian and Teutonic orders would be conquered by the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Anyways, after this, the birth of the Prussian state would then... Anyways, after the Polish-Lithuanian conquest of the southern Baltic kingdoms... wait, no, I read that wrong. After the Polish had conquered the Baltic, the last remaining kingdoms in the Baltic, southern Baltic, would then fall to Polish, or Poland and Lithuania. Or is it I think it's the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. That's probably it, yeah. Alright. After the Baltic was conquered by the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the states of Russia and Sweden would then... Wait, no, Sweden, I think I accidentally said that wrong. The states of Russia and Sweden... I said Sweden. Sweden would then take interest in the region after the 1500s. Wait, no, not after the 1500s. They would take interest in the region after the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth conquered it. Over the 1500s and the 1600s and 1700s were a bloody power struggle in the region, which would lead to countless wars between the states over control over the Baltic. One of the kingdoms which would remain other than Poland, Russia, and Sweden would be Courland, which became a puppet of which state would hold the Baltic, which would switch many times throughout the 1500s and 1600s and 1700s. Anyways, during the 1800s, after the Napoleonic Wars, the states of Sweden and Poland were no longer great powers. Russia now held supreme power in the Baltic throughout the 1800s, and would continue to rule over it throughout the rest of them. During the 1850s, though, the Latvian national awakening would happen, which brought the idea of a Latvian state. This would also be the beginning of Latvian nationalism. Anyways, wait, oh yeah. Alright, Russian dominance in the Balkan would then end after World War I. The Baltic would then be liberated by the German Empire's forces. Soon after this, though, would be the end of World War I. German forces would lose the war, and they would then abandon the region after this. After they abandoned the region, a Latvian state was born in 1918, and would be led by the first president of Latvia. How do you say that? Janis, I don't even know how to say that last name. Is that Cactusy? I don't even know how to say that. Janis Cactusy. I probably butchered that, but oof. Alright, he was the first president of Latvia, and I believe is highly respected in Latvia today. It's too bad that I'm butchering his name, though, but I don't know how to say Latvian or speak Latvian, sadly. After this, a Latvian... Oh wait, no, I just read that. Shortly after this, the Soviet Union would finish off the Russian Empire and would take control over Russia. And they would set their new goal to retaking the Russian Empire's lost land, which included the Baltic and Latvia. This would be the beginning of the Latvian War of Independence. Luckily for Latvia, though, this was not the only war of independence going on, as the Soviet Union would also be invading Poland, Estonia, and Lithuania, and Ukraine. Sadly, though, the Ukrainian War of Independence did not go very well for Ukraine. Anyways, the Soviet Union had underestimated these nations, who would fight ruthlessly for their independence. Latvia was one of those states which left victorious after the war. The other states of Estonia, Lithuania, and Poland also were victorious after those wars, although Ukraine sadly was not, and they would get their independence after the fall of the Soviet Union. But that's for another video. Anyways, where do I read now? After the War of Independence, Latvia would finally get to exist in peace for a bit, but sadly it would not be to last. The Soviet Union, after signing the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, I think, which allowed the Soviet Union to invade the Baltic in 1941. Sadly, Latvia would lose the war and would suffer under communism shortly after this. After Latvia was reincorporated into the Soviet Union, No-No Germany, which was very bad, would invade the Soviet Union, and Latvia would come under German occupation once again. Sadly, this time, a lot of ethnic Latvians were deemed lesser to the German people, which was wrong. Sadly, though, thousands of Latvians would be killed or sent to German camps. It truly was the worst for poor Latvia, as there was no way they could win in this scenario. But German occupation would not last. In 1943, Latvia would be brought back to suffer under communism, but at least it was better than being massacred by No-No Germany, which Latvia was very happy to be liberated from. Alright. After the state of Latvia was freed from No-No Germany, it then would become its own Soviet republic in the USSR. It would continue to suffer under communism for decades, sadly. At the beginning of the 1990s, the Soviet Union began rapidly collapsing. On the year 1990, the Republic of Latvia is reborn, and it breaks free of communism and the Soviet Union. And it finally is free after years of communist and Soviet oppression. The new state of Latvia would then join the European Union in 2004, and then switches its currency from, and yes, that's a pretty funny name for a currency, but I don't know why they would switch it to the euro, though. Latvian lats sound pretty epic. But they would then switch, as they joined the European Union in 2004, they would switch their currency to the euro from Latvian lats. That name's pretty funny. Anyways, a few months later, they would then join NATO, and they did this mostly because they wanted protection from Russia, who was, after the fall of the Soviet Union, becoming pretty powerful in the East. In 2008, the Great Recession hits the Latvian economy. The Latvian economy, though, luckily for Latvia, was able to recover, and they're doing just fine today. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but the rats are making noise. They're funny. Alright. And that's, Alright, yeah, that's the rest of the script. And that's where Latvia is today. Their economy as of right now has recovered, and is doing quite well. The state has a bright future, and is a prominent member of the European Union. And NATO anyway, It's a prominent member of the European Union and NATO. Anyways, that's the script that I wrote. There is a lot of history behind Latvia. I didn't expect it to be this big for a small Balkan country, or not Balkan country, I mean Baltic. But yeah, there was a lot of history behind it, and I actually had a lot of fun researching it. I was planning on doing this a while before, but I just never really got to it, but I've finally done it. Anyways, this was the history of Latvia. I hope you enjoyed. And, yeah, more history videos coming soon. If you want to see a very specific history video, like if you want to recommend a country to do the history on, please recommend one in the comments. Because, yeah, that might be the next video I work on if you recommend anything. But, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the history of Latvia. I had a lot of fun doing this. And if you want to see any more history vids, recommend them in the comments. And yeah. Alright, broskies. I'll see you in the next vid.